Hej alla och välkomna till Eat My Swede. This is a channel where we make classic Swedish dishes and make fun of the Finns. So today I'm gonna make some Swedish meatballs. Not those Finnish meatballs, but Swedish meatballs, which of course IKEA made world known. These are very simple to make. They only require a couple different ingredients. There's a couple different ways you could customize them, but they will be a quick weekday lunch or dinner. So join me and I'll show you how to make these Swedish meatballs. So let's go through the ingredients. I have here 1.44 pounds of ground beef. I'm using 85 lean, 15% fat. So it's kind of not the fattiest, not the leanest, somewhere in the middle ground as far as the meat goes. I have here just a single onion and a single egg. Have 1.5 deciliters of heavy cream, and then of course some salt, some white pepper, and breadcrumbs. The amount of breadcrumbs seems to vary a little from recipe to recipe. Tina Nordström's recipe uses only 30 grams of breadcrumbs, which I think is a little bit on the low side. However, she uses fresh bread, so that could affect it a little bit. I have here panko breadcrumbs. On the opposite end on YouTube, there's Adam Ragazia's video where he uses 15% of breadcrumbs by weight to the meat. I went somewhere in the middle, so I'm using 10% by weight of breadcrumbs, so that came out to about 65 grams of breadcrumbs. Tina Nordström's recipe was about 30 grams. If I had went with Adam Ragazia's, it would have been at 95 grams of breadcrumbs. The other component is the onion. Many recipes online say just to put raw onion in the mixture and then just fry the meatballs as they are. I kind of prefer the onion to be sauteed at first, at very least to be soft and maybe a little bit brown too. That could be just because when I was young, my mom used to make meatballs with onion soup mix in them. That probably gave it that like toasted onion flavor. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take the onion, I'm gonna chop it up, and then I'm gonna saute it first before adding it to my meatball mixture. So let me turn on my heat first so my pan can start heating up. Of course, there is something with the ground beef and onion, why they go so well together. That's why we put onions on burgers. I would definitely recommend not skipping the onion if at all possible. If you have some people in the household who don't eat onion, little kids maybe, try adding powdered onion, maybe toasted onion powder, for example, instead, or even like my mom did, the onion soup mix. So this way you won't have pieces of onion in the mixture in the meatballs, but it'll still taste, or it'll still have that onion taste. Now let's add some oil to the pan. And let's saute the onion until it's browned, which will take a little while. Let's see how long it takes. We'll add a little bit of salt, about a half a teaspoon or so. Meanwhile, while my onions are sauteing, I'm going to take the egg and crack it into the cream. And I'll just mix it all up. Put my beef into my bowl over here. And I'm going to mix my cream with the breadcrumbs, so that the breadcrumbs can start soaking up that cream while my onions are still sauteing over here. Just mix this well enough. And I'm also going to add my white pepper here, about a teaspoon or so. White pepper can be a little bit strong, so you don't have to add quite as much. Let's see how our onions are doing. I feel like they're getting a little dry, so I'm gonna add a little bit more oil. Okay, about 10 minutes later, and our onions are now nicely browned, just lightly browned, which is good for the meatballs. So I'm gonna kill the heat and then take the onions off the pan. I don't want to put them in here yet because they are hot. Let them cool down for just a moment. And now I'll make the meatball mixture. The breadcrumbs have now soaked up all the cream, so they're going in here. A little bit of salt, maybe about a tablespoon. And now the onions. And let's mix this all up. Make a meatball mixture. Try to make it as homogeneous as possible. And I'll turn my heat back on. This time a little bit higher than when sauteing the onions. And I'm going to use butter to fry my meatballs. But before I do that, I'm going to do a sample, a test batch, just a little bit. I'm going to fry it up just to taste that it has enough salt, enough seasoning. Okay. Let's taste it. Cool down for just a moment. It does not need any more salt, so we're good to go. Add a little bit more butter in here. And now with wet hands, I'm going to make smallish meatballs. These are not going to be large like Italian meatballs, for example. And they're going to fry up maybe about 10 minutes total. Let's see. If you need to, do them in multiple batches. I think my pan is starting to be a little full and I still have a little bit of the mixture left, so I'll fry these up first. So what I'm shooting for in the internal temperature is about 160, 165 Fahrenheit, about 71, 72, 73 Celsius. Well, some of these are done, but a couple of these have not quite made it yet, but they are very close. So let me take these smaller ones out. Okay. Let's turn down the heat. And let's make a sauce. So I'm going to sprinkle on some all-purpose flour. That's going to be about 2 tablespoons. And here I'm going to use the toasted onion powder that I mentioned. It's a pretty good shortcut since I didn't want to toast any more onions. And we're just going to toast the flour just a little bit. The longer you toast the flour, the darker the sauce will be. The milk is going to make it a lot lighter in color, so given that, you can actually toast it pretty dark. Just depends on your patience, really. All right, so let's add our milk. So you can see I didn't have that much patience, so it came out pretty light still, but that's all right. Let it come to just a quick bubble or two boil, so then you'll know how thick the sauce is going to be. Mine is still very thick, so I'm going to keep adding more milk until the texture is right. And let's taste the seasoning. Needs more salt. So many times meatballs are of course served with mashed potatoes, which I have right here. Sometimes people want to put the sauce together with the meatballs, so the meatballs kind of cook in the sauce, or they could just serve the sauce separately, whichever way. Some people prefer to eat the meatballs without the sauce and instead with some mustard and ketchup. It's all up to you. So let's take a couple of meatballs. And of course some of our sauce. And some lingonberry jam. And let's put some parsley in this garnish. And here we go, Swedish meatballs. Okay, so let's taste the meatballs. So let's taste just the meatballs first. I thought maybe they would have been a little bit too tender because they were breaking up a little when frying them, but no, not at all. I don't think these are too tender at all. Maybe could have used a little bit more salt for some reason. I thought it had enough. Let's try a little with the lingonberry sauce and the regular sauce. The combo is pretty nice, even though it sounds a little weird putting lingonberry sauce on meatballs, but I think it works pretty well. It adds a little bit of sweetness to the dish, to the savory dish, with savory meat flavor, and it ends up tasting pretty good. Let's try a combination of everything. There's no denying that this is a classic Swedish dish, and you can see why. So I'm going to keep eating this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Eat My Swede.